Good old Cyprus. What is there not to love about this place? Look at that. Look at that mid-sizzle. We have a McDonald's too. Look, it's yellow. Look, we got finigudas. Isn't that beautiful? Endless beauties, endless vistas. So much to discover for about 45 minutes and then you'll run out of island. But that's neither here nor there. And the less said about Trulli, the better. Or the fact that Alexa lives here, which I can only imagine is what, second place to North Korea? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The thing is, we have it quite easy in Cyprus. It's a nice place, it's very comfortable. Everybody lives comfortably for the most part, you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to live at, and it's like, you know, sometimes you can feel isolated. Think you're isolated here. Only because what? You're in a tiny island, so you're like, oh my god, there's nothing here. When I went to England, they have Primark. There's no Primark here. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. How about you shut up and appreciate where you are? At least you have a Primark. Because if you want to talk about places that are isolated, let's talk about it. North Sentinel Island. Nope, that's not a Marvel movie that's been marketed now and it's going to be released in about 35 years. This is the most isolated tribe in the world. See, the North Sentinel Island, which, yes, it is a real place, and yes, I know it looks like a puzzle piece, and yes, I know it looks like it could be one of those Harry Potter houses, Slytherin and Meethering and whatever they're called. So, according to the almighty Googs, the North Sentinel Island is one of the Andaman. I'm not even kidding, that's the name. It's Andaman, or Andaman Islands, an archipelago in the Bay of Bengal, which also includes the South Sentinel Island, which nobody fucks with, because it doesn't have the inhabitants of this place. This is the Big Daddy, baby. Come on, this is McDonald's, not McRollins or whatever the place was called. And it is home to quite possibly the scariest group of people ever. The Sentinelese. Okay, not ever, but at the time being now, because we're soft fucking Westerners, you know what I mean? To us, anyone wielding a spear or an arrow is scary. But let's go to it. They're indigenous people that live in voluntary isolation, meaning they don't want anybody fucking walking around the crib. Yo, you pull up to that island, they're like, Yerp! And next thing you know, it's like that scene in Troy with all the arrows and stuff. That wasn't Troy, right? Well, whatever. But here's the thing. These people don't fuck around. They don't want to see anybody. They got no time for anybody. They don't want to hang out with any of y'all. You know what I mean? So this like, oh my gosh, I want to go take some of this beautiful beach. Let me lie down and use my drone and take beach shots. None of that happening. You do that, by the only footage that's going to be on the drone is a spear landing right in your head. So these gangsters living on this island called the Sentinelese have been in isolation for the last 50 to 60,000 years. Now, I don't know what kind of lockdown you have where you at, wherever you even is. But we had one here that went for about 7 months, give or take. I mean, you could go out in theory here and there. 7 months. And that felt like forever. 50 to 60,000 years? Come on, dude. I can't even grasp how long it takes. Someone like Steph starts crying after 5 minutes of his meal not getting delivered. You know what I mean? Like 50 to 60,000 years, that is a long time. And that is also a very long time for your tribe to say, yeah, we don't want to see anybody. I feel like after year 60, it's kind of done. There's no chance of you pulling up at the crib like that. And such as the instances, the various instances of people actually attempting to contact the Sentinelese has not particularly ended very great. Here's the thing. First things first, this place is called the Forbidden North Sentinel Island. That's on the title. Why? Because it's illegal to go there. It's restricted. The Indian government is treating this place very much like Jurassic Park. You're not allowed to go near it. You're not allowed to fly over it. You're not allowed to even look at it. If you dream about it, you wake up in handcuffs, that kind of shit. Pterodactyls eating you and all this stuff. Whatever. But the issue is that not everybody took all these warnings into account. Now, when an entire government is telling you do not go there, you should listen. For one, I kind of understand. The Indian government knows if you pull up to this joint, you know what's going to happen to you? Chitty chitty bang bang. They're going to spear you to death. They're going to arrow you to death and whatever, because it has happened. Two, outside of you living, going back looking like a porcupine, the most obvious one is your bacteria and your germs and things like that are very probable to killing or wiping out the entire civilization there. And there isn't a lot of them. Allegedly, there's anywhere from between 40 to 400 people. Like, it's hard to really figure it out because the island is covered in this like really dense jungly thing. You know what I mean? Not a jungle. It's like, it looks like a jungle, but it looks like small, but it looks big. It's weird, man. I can't put it. It's forbidden. No one's been there. It's just photos. I don't know. You can just tell what you can from the photos. So it's hard to tell. This is where it gets like quite serious because the Indian government straight up told people, you go there, you know what's going to happen to you. You go there and you somehow survive, you know what's going to happen to you. There's just consequences all around. Red flags, red flags, red flags. The saddest case, and probably the most famous example, is this man from Alabama, 27 years old, called John Allen Chow, who felt religiously convicted to go and preach to these people the word of God. Now, you're thinking to yourself, what are the logistics of that? What language do they speak? Apparently, they speak Sentinelese. Nobody knows for sure exactly what the dialect is. All they know is they can't fucking talk to these people. You know what I mean? For one, there's just no way of breaching the communication in any way whatsoever. So it's kind of a hard task to begin with. Like, what would you say to these people? If I'm just talking, if somehow you survived, and for me to be bringing this story up, you can tell where this one's going. So poor guy paid two people, fishermen, $30,000, which is a lot of money. But it's not enough. They should have known better. Fishermen are quite awesome when it comes to like stories and places to avoid and things like that, and can always kind of give you tips and things like that when you're in a different country. You hear that a lot, you know what I mean? Like fishermen warnings and things like that. So this guys must have known this is not going to end well, you know what I mean? So they take the poor guy. Guy gets off the boat, I think at the beach, immediately gets killed, and they just leave his body there. And apparently attempts that were made to retrieve the man's body, and they were met with excess violence. So they had no choice but to just leave the guy's body there. And I think they buried it or something like that. Now I know what you're thinking. And as far observations are concerned, and from whatever the Indian government saw, whatever, they are not cannibals. Okay, they wouldn't just take the guy or whatever, something like that. The probable things that they think they buried him somewhere. So you're probably wondering, what do these people eat? Well, they eat oysters and crabs and things like that. And this is a weird segue from that story. But like, just to get off the somber, sad things, you know what I mean? Rest in peace. Could have all been avoided. The poor guy would have been alive if everyone just said no. Because there's too many red flags here. So they eat crustaceans, whatever the wildlife of the island is, which is very curious. The first thing I thought is like, ooh, could there be dinosaurs there? Because that's, come on, man. You think of like an island in the middle of nowhere that no one's been at, the first thing you think about is, yeah, Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs, or the land before time, the lost world, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? But no one knows. Here's the thing, because nobody's been in there. The jungle, there we go. I guess it is a jungle, just a pure jungle. It's very dense, so you can't really see anything. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. Like for like a 8-kilometer place, it's quite mysterious. Nobody knows anything. So I was just wondering. I was like, well, what would be the probable, wildlife there? The truth is, I don't know. There could barely be wildlife. Maybe birds, maybe turtles, things like that. I don't know if there's velociraptors running in there, but I'll be so curious to see what there is there. If any kind of wildlife that would be like very shocking and new would be maybe types of insects. You know what I mean? How there's this one island. I might be wrong here. It might be in Indonesia. That has this giant stick insects, and the only place that you can find them is in this very specific rock on this island. Things like that. Studying this island would be very interesting. But problem is, it's near impossible for the very obvious reasons of death. But outside of that, like, just thinking about it is very interesting. Like, I wonder what it's like there. I wonder how these people perceive the world. I wonder what they think of us. What do they think about airplanes? Do you know what I mean? What do they think about, like, people of a different skin? You know, when they see pasty white people. Like, I wonder what the perceptions are of everything. You know what I mean? Clothing. You know, I can imagine them like, I would like to know what they think of like a snapback. What do they think of a do-rag? What do they think of a scarf? Wait, what? You guys get cold? You know what I mean? Things like that, man. So North Sentinel Island is a very interesting place that I don't think we will ever truly get to explore. at least with the population there being safe. And it's, by my understanding, the last true forbidden place on Earth that is not military or things like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of a sad tale, to be honest, of people trying to contact the kids. Just leave people alone. There's this lack of understanding that sometimes, like, all you have to do is just leave people alone. If they want nothing to do with the world, which if you look at the world that the state we're in right now, you don't really blame them, then leave it as such. And I admire that the Indian government is like, yeah, no one going there for any reason whatsoever. Every now and then, apparently the Indian government would put a plane or something out just to see what the situation is on the island, just observe a little bit, but that's it. Right, and on that note, yeah,